The House Oversight Committee initiates contempt of Congress hearings against FBI Director Christopher Wray for the Bureau's alleged covering up of a $5 million bribe that President Biden took from a foreign national during his time as vice president. Apple announces its new virtual reality headsets, which are seemingly both utopian and dystopian. And the CEO of LuluLemon defends its decision to fire 2 employees who chased 3 masked men out of their Atlanta store. This is the noteworthy news that you need to know for today, Tuesday, June 6, 2023. But first, hit the subscribe button down below so that you never miss a Julie Noted or a timeless video. And be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Julie R. Hartman. Okay, let's go on to this first bombshell news story. There have been so many like this that I have been reporting on this Julie Noted segment. But then when you go and you look at the New York Times or go to CNN, MSNBC, totally crickets. A few weeks ago, an FBI informant told the House Oversight Committee head James Comer, who's a Republican from Kentucky, that the FBI has been allegedly sitting on information for several years that President Biden, during his time as vice president back in 2015 under President Obama, took a $5 million bribe from a foreign national in order to, quote, favorably influence policy. We do not know where this foreign national is from, nor the identity of this individual, but that is what we know at this point. This is not the first Biden scandal that we have seen, especially recently. We all remember the Hunter Biden laptop debacle back in 2020. Actually, this came out on my birthday, October 14th, 2020. The New York Post released this bombshell Hunter Biden laptop report, which had all of these damning emails pertaining to improper business dealings involving our now president, then candidate Joe Biden. Twitter immediately removed that story. This was just 3 weeks before the 2020 election, saying that it needed to be checked and verified. And then we have found out that the FBI was actually having weekly meetings with Twitter in order to suppress this story as well as other conservative content. And the FBI paid Twitter $3.4 million. This was the first big Biden scandal that we saw. 51 intelligence officials said that this Hunter Biden laptop story supposedly had, quote, all of the earmarks of Russian disinformation, but it turned out to be true. Another Biden scandal that we have seen recently is that a few weeks ago, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed the Biden family bank records and found that the Biden family and their various associates made tens of millions of dollars both during and after Biden's time as vice president, using over 20 shell companies. These were LLCs that were created during President Biden's time as vice president, and they were run by his son Hunter and some of Hunter's business friends. Now, these bank records show that the Biden family took in at least $10 million from firms run by Chinese and Romanian nationals. And this money was doled out to various family members. Of course, the son Hunter Biden, President Biden's brother James Biden, President Biden's daughter-in-law, and the widow of the deceased Beau Biden, Haley Biden, as well as several of President Biden's granddaughters. So this scandal that we're seeing now is also coming during a time where government whistleblowers are stepping out of the woodwork en masse. Kyle Seraphin is one of those individuals. I had the honor of interviewing him on my show Timeless. He worked at the Bureau for several years, and then he quit, or I guess was expelled from the Bureau, when he released an internal memo that was circulating around the FBI in which they called Catholic Americans, quote, violent extremists. There was also another anonymous whistleblower from the FBI that said that the Bureau was working during the Trump campaign to selectively go after Trump for his supposed charges of foreign interference in the 2016 election. Meanwhile, the Bureau was simultaneously ignoring similar charges of foreign interference with the Clinton family. John Durham, who is a special counsel, recently released a report showing that these improprieties and these big sources of disparity in the FBI. And finally, another example of a government whistleblower came from the IRS, or the Internal Revenue Service. This individual, who is still anonymous, said that the IRS was getting pressure to make their tax investigation into Hunter Biden go away. Apparently, this pressure was coming from some members of the government that did not want to see the first son being investigated for supposed tax fraud and also for his improper dealings with foreign entities. And suddenly, after this IRS whistleblower released this information, that supposedly the IRS was getting this political pressure to squash the investigation into the first son, our Attorney General Merrick Garland called off the IRS's investigation of Hunter Biden. You would think that all of this that I mentioned to you is made up. It's sort of dizzying to even go through it. And sometimes I will talk with people who don't read the Wall Street Journal, don't read the Daily Wire, don't read Breitbart, don't read the New York Sun. They read the New York Times and CNN only, and it's like they live in a totally separate universe. If you bring up the fact that the Russian collusion hoax was just that, a hoax, they will not believe it. They don't know that it has since been proven that it was a hoax. They don't know that the 51 intelligence officials who signed the Hunter Biden laptop letter saying that it was Russian disinformation, they don't know that that has been disproven. They don't know about these FBI and IRS whistleblowers. We are calcifying into two countries with two different realities. So here's the latest that only half of the country appears to know about, is that the House committee is launching a broader investigation into Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings. And given all that has come out, and the government and the media is lying about it, once this House committee was notified of the potential bribe from this FBI whistleblower, Representatives James Comer, who's the committee chairman, subpoenaed a form from the FBI that outlines the details of this alleged $5 million bribe taken by Biden. Now, until a few days ago, the FBI hid the fact that this document alleging this impropriety even existed. Representative Comer was allegedly pushing for about a month for FBI Director Christopher Wray to show this document. So yesterday, on Monday, June 5th, an FBI team finally made their way to Capitol Hill. Representative Comer and his Democratic committee counterpart, Congressman Jamie Raskin, viewed the document under FBI supervision. But Representative Comer has said that though he was finally allowed to view this document, this is not enough. He said that he is going to start what's called contempt of Congress proceedings against the FBI Director Christopher Wray starting this Thursday. Now, contempt of Congress hearings are when a person is apparently obstructing the work of the United States Congress or one of its committees. That's what it means to be in contempt of Congress. And so Comer is launching this contempt of Congress proceedings against the FBI director because the FBI took so long to produce this document alleging that the President of the United States once took a former bribe, Also, the FBI was potentially sitting on this information for years. And third, Comer has repeatedly asked that the FBI produce the document to the entire House committee, not just to the two congressmen who, after much lobbying, were allowed to view it. Let's listen to what Representative Comer had to say about this.
This particular document was dated in 2020, but there are notes in the document that date back to 2017. We believe that this human source initially informed the FBI of the bribery scheme back in 2017. So my question to the FBI was, what exactly have you done with this accusation? Because the FBI admitted that this is a highly credible, in fact, one of their most highly credible human sources.
So if FBI Director Wray is held in contempt of Congress, the Department of Justice is then responsible to pursue charges against him. But the problem is the DOJ as an agency has a history of not prosecuting one of its own. The FBI is under the Department of Justice, so technically Christopher Wray is an employee of the DOJ. President Donald Trump's former chief strategist, Steve Bannon, was recently convicted of defying a congressional subpoena during the January 6th committee investigation, which means that he was held in contempt of Congress, and he was actually given a short prison sentence, which he is now appealing. So it is possible for a government member to be held in contempt of Congress and to get jail time for it. But again, it seems unlikely that any criminal charges will be pursued against Wray because he has that protection under the Department of Justice. Representative Comer says, as you heard in this video, that this FBI whistleblower who accused President Biden of taking a $5 million bribe in exchange for favorable policy is, quote, a highly credible individual who has a long history of providing reliable information to the government. CNN has appeared to already try to discredit this story. They said that, quote, according to people briefed on the matter, you always know that's a great source when it's just vaguely people briefed on the matter, the FBI document has, quote, origins in a trance of documents that Rudy Giuliani provided to the Justice Department in 2020. This was the same argument or narrative that was used back in 2020 when the Hunter Biden laptop story was made public. Hunter Biden's attorney said that it had come from Rudy Giuliani. Not to mention the 51 intelligence officials that lied that it was Russian disinformation also lied. So no wonder the American people no longer have trust in their institutions. CNN is coming trying to discredit this story. The Hunter Biden laptop story was discredited when it turned out to be real. The Russian collusion hoax was peddled when it turned out to be that just in the name a hoax. There have been so many of these scandals. Even if you look at COVID, remember when we all thought, or we were all told that COVID originated from a wet market, and then all of a sudden it came out that it actually leaked from a lab, and we're just made to believe it? It's really sad. The FBI has said in the wake of this Trump and Russian collusion scandal, in which it was found that the FBI overly prosecuted Donald Trump on phony charges and didn't look into alleged foreign interference with the Clinton campaign, the FBI has said that it has reformed its ways. Christopher Wray, the FBI director, said that those who were involved in the Russian collusion hoax in the FBI were, quote, just a few. He said they were, quote, the actions of a few who are no longer a part of the organization. But if it is true that the FBI knew about this bribery for years, as Representative Comer is alleging, and that the FBI continues to hide this corruption by not presenting the FBI document to the entirety of the House committee, well, that's pretty damning. That will have been proven to have been false. That is Christopher Wray's announcement that the FBI has supposedly been reformed. What we are seeing here, a president of the United States allegedly taking a bribe. This is exactly what impeachment was designed for. Article 2, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution says the president, vice president, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Do you think that this fits that criteria? We will see, because the House would have to initiate an impeachment and then the Senate would have to vote. Stay tuned, everyone. We will keep you updated as these developments go on. Now, moving on to other news. The CEO of Apple, Tim Cook, this week at the company's Worldwide Developers Conference showed a video unveiling the company's new Vision Pro product. This is a virtual reality headset that Cook calls, quote, a revolutionary new product of spatial computing. They said that this is not going to be available until early 2024 with a starting price of about $3,500. What can this virtual reality headset do that Facebook's virtual reality headset, the Metaverse, can't do? Facebook unrolled their virtual reality headset about a year or two ago, which allows you to kind of step into a video game. So what makes this product different? I actually had someone on my show, Timeless, Scott Snare, who is the author of Ban the Brain Phone. He talked about how we are close in human history towards getting to a place where you can implant literally a phone in your brain, a chip that can allow you to use all of the functions of a phone but in your brain. This Apple virtual reality headset is about 2 steps away from exactly what Mr. Snare was talking about. This product, unveiled by Apple, allows you to literally see your computer, your apps, movies, TV shows, games, FaceTime, photos, videos on a huge screen right in front of you in your room. You can touch them and use them and enlarge them. You can FaceTime people in 3D. So basically, it's a modern desktop in your entire living room, but you can have multiple monitors open. You just control it, and this is kind of the creepy part, with just a movement of your eyes. So if your Notes app is over here and your phone app is over there, you can literally just move your eyes and look directly at the Photos app, I should say, and open it. And then you use your hand to scroll. That's it. Let's see part 1 of the video that Apple unveiled.
Introducing Apple Vision Pro. The era of spatial computing is here. When you put on Apple Vision Pro, you see your world and everything in it. Your favorite apps live right in front of you, but now they're in your space. This is Vision OS, Apple's first ever spatial operating system. It's familiar, yet groundbreaking. You navigate with your eyes. Simply tap to select, flick to scroll, and use your voice to dictate. It's like magic. Apps have dimension, react to light, and cast shadows. Even though these spatial experiences are happening inside Vision Pro, it looks, sounds, and feels like they are physically there. Foundational to Apple Vision Pro is that you're not isolated from other people. When someone else is in the room, you can see them, and they can see you.
That is the best part of the video. Actually, it's the worst part of the video. I shouldn't be laughing because it's both kind of weirdly amazing and horrible. I love it when they go, when you're alone in a room, you can see the other person and they can see you, and it pans to the woman wearing the glasses. Like, wow, that is really human to human contact. Apple's basically trying to say, oh, we know that we're entering into this virtual reality space and that things might seem a little creepy, but you can just interact with someone right in front of you. That's it right there. Oh my God. I mean, who wants to interact with someone who's wearing that Martian head suit, okay? This is similar to COVID masks. I'm not taking a position, though I have one, on COVID masks and how long they should have lasted for. Putting that aside, putting however you view the legitimacy of masks aside, I think that we can all admit that wearing a mask or talking with someone who wears a mask diminishes the experience of the interaction. That is not any different, and in fact is probably worse when someone is wearing this dystopian, alien, God knows what headset on their face. Apple has said in this announcement that they're partnering with Walt Disney, showing what experiences could look like through these VR headsets with regard to movies. They actually did a demo of an immersive Star Wars TV show, and they've even talked about a digital form of Disneyland. So you can literally put on your headset and walk around through Disneyland without ever having gone. Let's look at a short clip of what they played about entertainment.
Apple Vision Pro brings the scale and wonder of a movie theater to whatever space you're in. It automatically darkens and casts a beautiful glow into the room. And you can make the screen as big as you want. Spatial audio surrounds you and makes you feel like you're a part of the action. And for an extraordinary cinematic experience, you can bring in a beautiful environment and make your screen feel 100 feet wide.
Okay, this seems cool, I will admit, But when does this stop? Like, how much further are we going to go? We already have such a diminished life with smartphones and with social media and Instagram, people scrolling and scrolling. And imagine it's like family movie night and you all just put on your headsets. It really does diminish the experience. And I have to say, I think Scott Snare is right. He's saying that the next move is to put a chip in your brain, because I think Apple and other companies are going to see, indeed, the research is already there, the money is already there to enact this technology, seeing that it's cumbersome to put this thing on your face. So the next step is that there won't be anything on your face. It'll just be in your brain. I've talked about this a few times before, but we've entered into this weird space of technological advancement that I like to say started in 1945 with the atomic bombs that the United States developed during the Manhattan Project. Up until that point, technology was made for the use of making life more efficient and safer. Think about an airplane, or think about various surgical tools that were made, or even a primitive version of the telephone. That was the golden age, if you will, of technology. Ever since 1945, it seems, we've entered this realm where technology is no longer making us safer and more efficient. In some ways, it's making us safer and more efficient, but it's now going into this realm of just giving us things because people can innovate to that extent. How does social media really make our lives better? It doesn't, but it was presented to us because the developers could do it. It's the same thing with this VR headset. We already have enough with our computers. Think about the marvels of technology we have. Do we really need this extra step? People are no longer guiding technological advancement with a moral or ethical worldview, making sure that, yes, we should develop, but we should also make sure it doesn't go too far. The fact that Elon Musk and the CEO of ChatGPT recently testified before Congress saying that this technology can get dangerous. They are the ones who are creating and have a first witness view of this technology, and they're saying that we need to watch out for it. Well, we should heed their call, shouldn't we? Now, moving on to the final story, LuluLemon CEO Calvin McDonald has defended the company's decision to fire 2 employees, Jennifer Ferguson and Rachel Rogers, who called the police and chased 3 masked men who robbed their Atlanta location out of the store. Now, LuluLemon has been under fire for this incident for a few weeks now, saying that they are punishing good employees for defending the store against thieves. There's been this outrage of people going, why are you firing these people who are displaying such courage? But the CEO, Mr. McDonald, has said that LuluLemon has, quote, a zero tolerance policy for engaging with thieves. He argues that the 2 employees, quote, engaged the men several times, including following them out of the store, which violates their policy. I'm reading a quote from the CEO. We have a zero tolerance policy that we train our educators on around engaging during a theft. Why? Because we put the safety of our team, of our guests, front and center. It's only merchandise. Ms. Ferguson, one of the fired employees and actually one of the former managers of that robbed store, says that when a robbery occurs, all LuluLemon employees are instructed to do is scan a QR code, which will, I guess, alert the higher-ups that a robbery has taken place. And that's it. She has said, quote, we've been told not to put in any notes because that might scare other people. We're not supposed to call the police, not really supposed to talk about it. Doesn't this seem so backwards and upside down to you that these individuals are being fired for doing such a brave and courageous thing, and that when thieves come into the store, you're just supposed to bow down? I understand the safety concern, but really all you do is scan a QR code. There are no longer guardrails and disincentives in society to steal. We have a city like San Francisco that says that up to a certain amount of money, a few $100s, you can rob a CVS, you can rob a convenience store, and nothing will happen to you. You will not get arrested, nothing will happen. And then here we have LuluLemon saying that all their employees have to do is scan a QR code. What is the disincentive for someone to not go into a store? And then we see this year that these 2 brave employees are fired for standing up to the thievery. Again, I ask, if you are a robber, what incentive do you have to not commit that crime? And then you add in all of this social justice, prison reform, etc., which is saying that we shouldn't criminalize people for certain crimes. How do we think this is going to work out as a society? People have not thought this through, and it's terribly, terribly irresponsible. Vivek Ramaswamy, who is one of the Republican candidates, I should say, for president, has said that there is a war on merit. There also appears, from my perspective, to just be a war on conventional virtue in its entirety. Patriotism is seen as something wrong. Getting married and going to church and following a conventional lifestyle is seen as something wrong. Going and working a 9-to-5 job sometimes is called in this world succumbing to capitalist forces. And then here we see bravery, doing the right thing, chasing thieves out of a store, is not only not being recognized, but criminalized. So again, what are we to expect with a society that does this? I'll leave you with this final note. I'm often asked, how do people change the course of society? How do we wake people up and make the United States, which is sadly deteriorating, better? You know, we hear the conventional, be careful how you spend your money, or speak up in class or in the workplace, and those are certainly good mantras and good rules to go by. I'd like to add another one. When you see people doing something right, whether that is displaying bravery or someone who is exhibiting professionalism, compliment them. Tell them that you recognize their effort and that you appreciate it. Because apropos of this story, we are living in a world where these virtues are under attack. And I like this piece of advice, if you will, because it's a positive thing that we can do amidst all of this negativity. Thank you very much for joining me. Reminder to hit the subscribe button down below so that you can stay up to date on all the Julie Noted and Timeless. We'll see you soon.